Finally, ladies and gentlemen, we have balanced artillery in World of Tanks console. Oh no, sorry, that was in a parallel universe, and in fact we've actually got stronger artillery than they've ever been, because Wargaming do exactly what the players want, and we end up with a Bert that reloads in about 3.8 seconds, because yes, being even more overpowered is something that everybody wanted. And of course, remember, Wargaming's great changes to the matchmaker allowed that we had just one artillery per team, and then they reverted it so we can now have 3 lots of artillery that hit us 40% faster. Yay! Brilliant changes. Oh, and if you didn't already know, they now have the same hit points as 80% of a light tank. So yes, T92 has 1400 hit points, meaning the majority of players at tier 10 will be able to 4-shot artillery. Yay! What an absolute terrible idea from Wargaming. Like, it does not take a genius to work out that artillery are going to be overpowered. When you increase their accuracy, you increase their reload. Maybe you lose out on the damage that some of the artillery players were able to do back in the day, so you were able to do quite a bit more. Obviously, they've degraded how much damage the T92 and some of the other vehicles in the game by 40%. And then in doing so, they've increased the reload of the tanks to match up so that they have the same damage per minute. Now, yeah, that might sound all well and good that the damage has come down, but they'll still be having more effective damage per minute, which means that artillery are going to be annoying people a lot more, because the accuracy's gone up, which means that you're going to be more reliable to hit everything. Every single artillery piece in the game got 0.1 accuracy bonus. So the T92 here without a commander, if we pop one in there, I'll find one a second, and we will be playing artillery just to showcase the point that some of these things are doing. But if we grab the T92, for example, it's got 0.66 accuracy. Let me just jump down to tier 6 a second, and we'll be looking at the heavy tanks, and of course we'll be looking at the KV2. What's the accuracy of the KV2? Oh look, it's 0.56. So you're only 0.1 accuracy away from the KV2. So an artillery that is almost as accurate as an actual vehicle. Now that is the T92, which is probably one of the more inaccurate vehicles, but what about something like the Batchat 155-55? Well, this tank now has the accuracy of 0.49 because yay, and of course you can also go 56 kilometers an hour. You got a fully traversable turret, and during Wargaming's changes they also meant that when you move your tank, the dispersion of artillery is better, and of course it has nearly 1200 hit points because yay. Anyway, we're going to get into some gameplay showcasing exactly what I mean, because we can talk about statistics and we can talk about kind of the damage or the potential damage you can deal. But let's have a look first at a tank that is just going to annoy people. It's just going to blatantly be super annoying. And of course we're talking about the FE430, the FE 304, even the Bert, you know what I'm on about. Anyway, I'm getting too emotional at the moment, but either way, the FE4 304, the Bert, is a tank that was really annoying before. But what they did with tier 6 artillery, and I believe tier 7 as well, is that they increased the rate of fire by about 24%. And on the Bert, it already had a ridiculous rate of fire, and it also doesn't have the worst pen if you do actually manage to pen. So this vehicle right here has 4,000 damage per minute. Yep, of course you'd have to pen everything, and it only has HE rounds, so you pretty much are not going to be able to get 4,000 DPM. But just think about how much damage you could deal if you did manage to pen. The key thing about the Bert as well is that it's super fast. I've got this at 79 kilometers an hour is what the speed at which we can go apparently. And of course, as with all of the artillery, it's also got 530 health rather than its like 200 usual health that it probably had before. And don't worry, because the Bert's new accuracy means that you can do things like this. And of course, you can see tanks like the M4 improved. And unfortunately for him, he is now not in a good position whatsoever, because we reload in about 4.5 seconds and we can just basically perma-track him. Now there are other vehicles and of course we can go for them. The key thing with the Bert is that the aim time and accuracy, or the accuracy over distance, is much worse because you have to wait for your shell to hit, but that doesn't matter all that much and we can go for leading our shells. You just have to kind of get used to it, and it does take a little bit of time. I'm not 100% perfect, don't worry, but we've managed to deal a little bit of damage there, and we, by the looks of it, tracked our opponent. So, can we get another round into him? Let's have a look. Maybe he's still there. Obviously not at the moment. But the other thing is that, yeah, the accuracy also got buffed by 0.1 on the Bert. So it means that you can be super accurate when using this too. So, I don't know what Wargaming are thinking when they made these tanks, but or at least buff these tanks to the point where they're at now. But of course, it's not very balanced at all, in my opinion. And even if it is maybe, I don't know, subjectively it is balanced, if maybe you're thinking in a different way to what I am, it's just more annoying. And of course, I don't care if something's overpowered, to be honest with you. Most of the time there are loads of overpowered tanks in the game. We all know what Wargaming do with their game design, and some of the premium vehicles that we receive, things like the Cobra T-54, which are just blatant overpowered tanks, but they're not necessarily that annoying when you come up against them. Things like the Bert, with this new reload and all of the changes that they've done to it, these are just disgustingly boring to play against, because guess what? If you get perma-tracked by the Bert before, it's like 10 times worse now, because you do not even get a chance to basically repair your tracks, and that is not okay. So I just hate these sorts of changes that Wargaming do, and they seem to be coming more and more. It's like they don't actually play their own game, and you can see here, we can basically just sit here behind the rock, and because the Bert has ridiculous kind of accuracy, we can just derp our guy right here. And of course, like, we are reloading at the same speed that these mediums are pretty much, and of course we're an artillery piece that can pen, if we do manage to deal damage, up to like 400, I believe, with the Bert. So yeah, it's a tank that you can get YOLO'd by people and it still doesn't even matter. Like, I hate to like be the bearer of bad news, Wargaming, but this is just absolutely horrendous. And then we look at something like the M44, for example, which is a tier 6 artillery that has 240 pen. You know, you can pen tier 8s with that. Pretty much every single tier 8 in the game you can pen with 240mm. Of course it has heat rounds, because why wouldn't you want heat rounds? HE obviously has significantly less penetration, but can splash vehicles, but on these low tier artillery there's literally no point in having splash, so instead you can just pen everything that you hit for 240mm of penetration with 500 damage, allowing this vehicle right here to have not only 0.57 accuracy, so better than the KV2, but also 3900 damage per minute. Yay. Let's jump in to the game itself and see whether or not it really does make that much of a difference. And it's one of those things where I can understand what Wargaming were trying to do, but then they go ahead and just give tanks like ridiculous amounts more health so that you end up just having way better games. And even if you get YOLO by light tanks, it's like they have to hit you so many times, and in that time you're gonna reload probably once, if not twice, depending on what vehicle you're in. And of course that gives artillery players the ability to shotgun twice or 2 times, up to 3 times more than they might have done previously. It's like one of those unnecessary changes. The reload, the increase in accuracy, that sort of stuff, you might be able to get over, like as a kind of standard thing that Wargaming do, but then they increase the health as well, which is like, not only, you guys know, if you've played recently, you've come up against things like the Bert or the M44, or you've played any of the low tier games, you'll know exactly how overpowered these tanks are normally. So when you then grab a tank that's already pretty good, give it double the health pretty much, and then just essentially make it more OP, give it better accuracy and more reliable damage per minute, then people are going to be annoyed. And remember, at tier 6 most vehicles have about 800 hit points maybe, which means that you can almost one-shot everything anyway, and so the M44, it's basically got more reload. That's literally it, and they've given it more health. It hasn't really negatively impacted this vehicle all too much, other than not being able to one-shot higher tier vehicles, or maybe reduced how many vehicles you can one-shot. Any low tier vehicles that you play against, tier 5s, tier 4s, you can one-shot because absolutely balanced and stuff like that. But it's just, it literally is a meme at this point, and I don't quite know why Wargaming do things like this, but we'll never know. We'll just have to suck it up and play the game, and hopefully they'll actually realise that this grandiose idea that they had is terrible, and they'll change it and remove the hit point advantage that they gave them for some reason. Literally nobody be like, we want artillery to have more health for that. That would genuinely make the game better. I don't know where they get these fantastic ideas from, but there you go. Either way, we've now tracked the Skoda T25, which now means the next shot that we hit him with is, of course, going to kill him. Yes. It's balanced, I swear. Now the big top's moving back, and oh, look at that. Within 6 seconds, we've dealt 1,000 damage. What do we do now? Oh, the big top stopped. Oh, I wonder if we'll pen him. Oh, we hit his gun. Oh, well, at least we'll reload in 6 seconds, and we may be able to hit this VK who's giving the back of his tank to us. Maybe. Oh, we tracked him. Oh, well, we got some assistance damage as well. Now, using the great dispersion mechanics that Wargaming have implemented into the game, which allow us to basically reposition our shell quicker so that you aim in quicker, we can go for a shell on the reach. It might not hit. Of course it hits. We don't even need to fully aim. Anyway, then we'll go for the Talon, who will just hit a random shot. Maybe it will hit. I don't know. But yeah, essentially the aim time is basically the reload in this tank, so sometimes it's actually worth just firing and then reloading fully. Of course, we hit the Talon with the next one. Oh look, a Tiger 1. What a fantastic tank. That is a very, very good tank at tier 7. But of course, when you're coming up against a tank that can deal double the damage in literally like maybe 40% more time, I don't think that the Tiger's going to have too much fun here, and hopefully he doesn't, because we don't want him to. And of course we'll go for a next one, we track him, and maybe we'll get the actual... Oh, we didn't get the tracking assist for taking him out. Maybe the enemy artillery, who is the only tank that can balance us, may just balance us. We'll go for a random shot on the T-34, unlikely to hit, doesn't matter though, because we can just keep firing. And up to 2,200 damage, we'll just quickly move over. I knew he's pretty much dead. And we'll use the better accuracy to be able to hit people over the ridgeline. I know that there's a tank destroyer that was over here. Should we go for a blind fire? Yeah, why not? Maybe we'll hit. Of course, he's not quite there. We'll just wait until the enemy tank actually gets detected, and then we can maybe get some shells of damage off into him. Looks like he's actually over there. The T25/2, who we're going to YOLO shot. Of course, these sometimes do actually hit. Now he's moving down into the dip, hopefully becoming a little bit less available for our teammates. We'll go for the shell blind. Don't quite manage to hit where we wanted it to. But yeah, I mean, the M44 is completely balanced and not OP in any way, shape or form. Managed to track him, giving us some assistance damage. This is the problem with heat, which can be definitely a problem, but it's not too bad. And when you've got players like the T25/2 who are just giving you the backside of their vehicles, it's definitely not a problem whatsoever. And remember, the M44 also is fast, so you can get up to top speed, which I believe is like 60 in this thing, to relocate when you need to as well. Now, there's one other vehicle that I I'm going to showcase, because it's a higher tier vehicle, because we've showcased some of the lower tier stuff within the game. And yes, we know we can't showcase every single artillery in the game, because that would be far too much toxicity for one video. But yeah, essentially we'll be showcasing maybe one vehicle, maybe another one, just depends on how I'm feeling. But those vehicles are the M53-55 and the T92 potentially, just to see whether the changes have really made that much of a difference to the vehicles. And yeah, it'd be interesting to see. Don't know why the team are capping when there's literally one vehicle left on the enemy team, but there we go. Yeah, picking up 2,200 damage with 200 assistance, and of course the World of Tanks service is down. Well, after a little blip in the servers, let's actually jump into the M53-55, because let's have a look at a tank that I used to use as a tank destroyer that now actually is a tank destroyer, basically. So let's have a quick look at the stats. We've got 0.58 accuracy, so we're like a KV2 essentially. 4,100 damage per minute, which is better than every single medium at the tier. And of course a 16-second reload to do 870 alpha, which is quicker than any tier 10 TD to be able to reload for 870 damage. So I'm interested to see what this thing can really do, and whether you can use the 1200 hit point advantage that this tank has to become basically a tank destroyer. So we've got full AP in the M53-55 to showcase why having AP rounds that actually have pen, and then also having all of these changes, makes this tank completely not fair. Either way, it might be a terrible game. It might be one of those where we try and go in and actually just get farmed by everyone, but you know, it might be still fun. And I guess that these arty changes are fun, but only fun for the 2 or 3 players on your team who end up as the artillery players. So yeah, I just don't think that this is the way. I mean, I like the fact that they're trying to do changes. I'm not going to discredit them for trying to actually make changes, because, you know, being able to one-shot things is overpowered, but there really wasn't necessarily a benefit to giving them better accuracy and that sort of stuff, because all that does is make it more effective DPM, and you've got to do one or the other. Either you give it the health and keep the accuracy and just basically give it the same DPM, or you go for the option of kind of just giving them the accuracy but not giving them the health. You don't do everything, and literally the only negative is that you end up with less alpha. Don't think that that's quite the way I'd go about it, but either way, we've seen someone knock down a little tree, so we are going to pre-aim. So let's fully aim here real quick. Maybe we'll be able to hit them. I don't know. Maybe we've pushed up a little bit too far, but here we go. Now the big thing is, can we manage to pen? If it is there. Oh, wow. We managed to pen someone who sat in the most obvious bush after pushing down the most obvious tree, and of course managing to deal some damage. Now for some reason the chisel is YOLOing across the field. Can we hit him like a proper tank destroyer? Nope. Obviously not free aiming anyway, but yeah, we're gonna try and avoid get hit by any other of the enemy artillery, because that would be bad. Remember as well that you can also put in artillery the choice to swap between your rounds, so it's become probably more imperative for you guys to do that now. So you can make of that what you will. But we've now got the chisel over here. Maybe we'll be able to hit him. I doubt it, since it's a very, very slim shot. But the 704 that's just got spotted is definitely a target, and maybe we'll go for him. Come on. Oh, completely balanced. It's still completely balanced. We just take half the hit points instead of all of them, and reload just as quick, or quicker, and actually probably more damage in a game than you would usually have with an artillery. Oh, there's the 704 again. Oh, we bounced this time. That's actually quite unlucky for us to not be able to pen the 704. That was just really bad RNG. Oh, God. The 704 looks like he's particular on drowning himself, as I would as well, with the M53 bearing down, and oh, maybe the T-44 will also drown himself, maybe. We'll wait and see. Oh, the he didn't actually end up drowning himself, so he wants a bit more, and we will be much obliged to give it to him, potentially. Didn't quite hit. Wasn't what we were after. Either way, 2,700 damage done in the most boring classes in the game, and yeah, one of the most kind of balanced ones too. Either way, let's try and actually hit this 704. We want the rest of his hit points. We're not happy with only dealing just the small amount that we did to him. We wanted all of his hit points, so we took them, because having this accuracy is just absolutely fine. And now, what do we do here? Well, we just wait for the opponents to get spotted, because now we're just running out of health to actually take from the enemy team. Either way, let's see if our friend that was sat in the bush at the beginning of the game is still there. What do you reckon, guys? Do you reckon he's still there? Probably is. Or maybe we could be big brain and actually go for a different shell. Maybe if we look directly away, we're going to have to back up down the hill to get this little area out of the way. Actually, you know what? We're going to go off after the machine. Now, a heavy tank just got spotted, and we get a nice bit of assistance as well, because love a bit of assistance, me. Anyway, E100, can we get a shot on him? If we pull back far enough, he's going to be coming around this corner or somewhere close to it. I think it might have been actually further forward, so we may need to back up a little bit further, and it might be time for us to actually leave or get round this little curve of the rock, so that if we do get spotted, we don't get one shot, and even an E100 cannot one shot us anymore. So yeah, that must be so fun for an E100 to literally get penned every single time you find a T92, because you cannot one shot them ever in the game. So with the E100 still there, we can give him a little bit of a wait. He's going to come round because he wants to actually pen us, I expect. Is he going to come around? The Batchat tank is obviously on the move. Come the accuracy bonuses that we've had? Nope. I wonder. E100. No, please don't. I'm trying to aim. I guess we'll have to turn around and just hit the machine instead. Maybe. Oh well, a little bit of extra damage. Wasn't much we could do there, but we still took a lot of damage off of the enemy team. That's a big thumbs up from me, I think, with regards to this vehicle. And yeah, I think the M53-55 is probably better now than it has ever been, because that's what Wargaming wanted. They wanted to remove people's annoyance from playing against artillery, so they made the correct change and made them very, very fun to play against. Now then, should we play the more accurate artilleries in the game in the form of the Llewellyn? So this tank has 0.49 accuracy. So this tank, if we compare it to, say, a heavy tank at tier 10, for example, the maybe not the actual decent one, but maybe something like an E100, it's not that far off. It's like 0.1 accuracy worse than an E100, and probably a IS-7 is a bit more reflective, maybe. I don't know. Either way, the accuracy is very close to being like the base value of a tank that doesn't have vertical stabilizers, is what I'm trying to say. So although the accuracy, when having fully kind of got the tank in the place where you want it in terms of with all of the accuracy bonuses and stuff, and remember you can put aiming time speed on this tank as well. You can also speed it up by putting max speed, and you can also add view range to the tank as well if you really wanted to, so that you can spot things. I don't know if it actually does anything, because it seems like it's broken on the game, since the vision range literally didn't go up when we put equipment on it. So don't know whether that is part of the changes, but maybe that's just a bug, like with every single Wargaming update at this current moment in time. But let's see what the most accurate tier 9 artillery piece is actually like, and whether it's much of a difference, and whether actually having good accuracy in something like this really makes much of a difference. But yeah, overall, I'm really interested to see what you guys think, because I understand that this has been a quite, negative view on Artillery 2.0, but rightly so, because there's literally nothing that has really changed other than the fact that you now can't get one shot, and people are always like, you always complain, or like people always complaining about arty and then Wargaming do something and artillery is, and now you're complaining about the changes to arty. It's like, no, but the point is that artillery were too strong and being able to one-shot things, so they made them worse in damage, but then made them more OP with everything else that they've given them. So, yeah, I think they're going to be very fun for a lot of the players that you play up against. And the fact that I even have these arty is probably a testament to me being a little bit toxic back in the past when I used to play artillery. And one of my most played tank is the T92, and so I know exactly how overpowered artillery are, and I'm definitely not a believer in keeping them the way they are. The reason I spent so many games in the T92 is purely because, guess what, it was overpowered. So yeah, I can only dread to think what artillery is like now, and something we'll have to wait and see to see the definitive results and whether Wargaming are actually going to do anything about it or just leave it as it is. But remember, no other platform has done this to the artillery within World of Tanks. So we're looking at World of Tanks PC, we're looking at World of Tanks Blitz. I don't believe any of them have given them more health to the point where they now have ridiculous hit points, as well as being able to basically one-shot things. So either way, let's go after the bar, probably one of the worst tanks in the game. Let's see how accurate we can be, so we can basically get the entire tank within our scope when we're using the sniper view. So that is a brilliant start to our accuracy grind. So you can see we're, of course, trying to highlight my... Maybe Wargaming are watching this and like, you know what, you can actually miss. You can miss that one. Either way, we'll go for the next one. That one actually penned and set him on fire, so love that one. And then I wonder if the Object 705 is still over here, because the reload is 10 seconds, so don't really have to worry about having to reload that much, and so you can make more bolder and more interesting shots happen, which of course is great for the artillery players. Maybe less so for the actual players. And of course, we'll try and go for the blind shot. Oh, I didn't quite get it. I was hoping that guy reversed all of the way. And yeah, so with the accuracy buffs, it means that you can do shells that are just basically not fun for everyone involved. And so I don't even know what to think anymore. I think the days of game balance have well and truly gone. Maybe Wargaming's balance department has gone unemployed at the moment because... or they just simply never had one. I don't really know. But either way, it's not very fun for the player base to have to deal with. In the meantime, it's like they kind of have the super test but don't really ever care about it enough to actually make any changes that go through it. And yeah, just hitting tanks and setting them on fire even more. It must absolutely suck to be the bar at the moment, because now I'm not going to miss, hopefully. Of course, we may miss for 96 damage, but probably taken out some of his crew members, and we can just pre-aim because he's going to continue reversing, and he does, and we set him on fire for the third time. Oh my... the state of it. The absolute state. It's completely fine. It's just fine. It's fine. It's fine. There's nothing wrong. There's just absolutely nothing wrong. We couldn't see any reason why it would be OP or anything. No. That sounds a bit too... That sounds a bit like you're complaining too much. There's nothing wrong with it. I swear. Oh, a 268. Do you reckon we can pen that on the roof? I think we might be able to, if we can hit. I know he's just moved out of the way, but we've tracked him now. And he might be behind this rock, but it doesn't matter at all because of the changes to the accuracy. which now mean maybe we can hit him behind. Oh, just narrowly missed over the top of a hill, where you might think that you would be safe in the generic amount of games. You can see that the tree fell down, so I'm hoping. Oh, not quite. It didn't quite land where we were hoping. The Object 268, of course, trying to do something useful in the game, but getting pestered by an annoying class, which gets removed by the FV4005. Now it's time to focus the other flank. I feel like it's a very long video, but I wanted to showcase all of the different types of tank, to be honest, and all of the different ways in which they're just boring to play up against. And that's really where I feel like Wargaming have let themselves down with this update. Just basically making the thing that everyone complained about worse and probably more annoying than they've ever been. And that's the ultimate reason for this whole video, is that I was actually going to do a video on the next, or the tanks in the season pass, but instead I think that this is definitely a more pressing matter, and if we can get Wargaming to change it quickly, it might not be a forever change, at least for the moment. So fingers crossed we don't end up with this as the bog standard, because I don't think it's particularly the funnest thing that we're going to see. Either way, it's time to try and move out of the way. I know that the physics mechanics in World of Tanks are a little bit hard for... So, looks like there's a little Type 5, and with the accuracy that we've got, maybe we'll be able to hit him with a heat round, because we can now snipe weak points, apparently. So if we get up on the ridge, use the concealment, can we hit his cupola? That's the real question. Oh, not quite. We couldn't quite snipe the cupola of the Type 5, but maybe we can get him in a second. Probably don't want to take that hit, because he may be able to one-shot us. Probably one of the only tanks in the game that could one-shot us at this point. Artillery is targeting me, because, yet again, probably the only balancing mechanic in the game. But maybe we could poke around and take a shot at the Type 5, or maybe we could just fully aim. Oh look, he's trying to go down. Now we bounced, which is probably my fault, to be honest. We could definitely make it work a little bit better. The Ariete is thinking that he's funny, so I think he's probably going to YOLO us. Who'd have thought? Come on. Don't be scared. I'm only just better in every way. I wouldn't worry about it. Our teammate's going to get taken out in a minute, and we're going to get taken out by the Type 5 if we don't go. So it's time to try and move quickly before the Type 5 takes us out. Maybe we can hit this guy. I'm not entirely sure. Hello there. I'm just going to get round you, because we both know that you're not going to be able to actually get down. Ah, we didn't have the pen. It's a real shame, actually. Now we can kind of just leave, hopefully. Oh no, maybe not. One of our friendly artillery was like, I think I want you. The Type 5 is probably going to take us out at this point, but oh well. You see what I mean about the accuracy, though? It's just pretty fun and balanced. But either way, that is kind of the changes summarised, shown. The Batchat is probably not a good tank still, because it just doesn't have the kicking power or the firing power that some of the other vehicles have, and when you've only got 400 damage that you can do with the heat rounds, there's absolutely no reason you'd play the Batchat, since you can play the M53-55. Other than that, I hope you guys did enjoy. It was a really interesting video to make, and hopefully this isn't a permanent change that Wargaming are doing to the game, and that's all I can say about that. Fingers crossed you don't get taken out by any M53-55s, and if you're playing low tier, I really hope that you don't want to bash your head against a brick wall. Yeah, goodbye.